The goal of every story is to form some degree of connection with its observer. Though nearly every video game strives to craft a bond in which the observer is less a passive participant and more an emotionally engaged accomplice, Heavy Rain is one of those few that can claim to have truly achieved this lofty objective. A powerful interactive drama, Heavy Rain is an intensely absorbing experience that meticulously conveys the tension, urgency, surprise, and tragedy that its characters feel. The overall direction of the plot cannot be changed, but the ongoing narrative adapts to your every action to construct a deeply personal journey that leaves everyone who undertakes it with something different. How far are you prepared to go to save someone you love? This is the central question of Heavy Rain, and one which the protagonist, Ethan Mars, is compelled to answer. After Ethan's son is taken from him by the mysterious origami killer, he vows to do whatever it takes to rescue his boy. Besides Ethan, you also take control of 3 other, seemingly unrelated individuals that have been drawn into the case of the origami killer. Private investigator Scott Shelby, FBI criminal profiler Norman Jayden, and photojournalist Madison Page. Heavy Rain is an immersive interactive drama that sucks you in and doesn't let go. As you control each of the 4 characters, on-screen prompts have you press buttons in sequence, move the right analog stick in specific directions, shake the controller, and more to interact with the scenes. Each button input is proportionally difficult to the task being performed, and when a character is scared or stressed, these floating prompts tremble accordingly. There's plenty of action to be found in the form of brutal and violent brawls and more. But even mundane tasks, such as brushing your teeth, are surprisingly engaging and help to strengthen your bond to the characters. Unlike other games that make extensive use of QuickTime events, Heavy Rain does not track your progress in terms of failures or successes.
Good night, John.
Leave me alone! I hate you! Dad?
Yeah?
Why do you look so sad?
There is no right or wrong way to play, and no matter what your outcome is, the game continues moving forward. Though the overall narrative framework is unyielding, your performance throughout the game can have a variety of effects. For example, you may choose to intervene in a domestic dispute to save a damsel in distress, but you don't have to. You might simply decide that it's none of your business and leave.
You again? If you're looking for trouble, you found it! I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. Oh!
Whatever happens, it's important to keep in mind that your actions and choices have consequences. Your characters can even die, which eliminates any contributions they would have otherwise made.
5 days after he was reported missing.
Though Heavy Rain's involving story is its greatest strength, it's also somewhat of a weakness in terms of the game's replayability. Lasting an intensely satisfying 8 to 10 hours long, Heavy Rain is full of branching plot points and permutations, but it's hard to actually go back and play through the game differently once you've already completed it. Your story, the one that you got so caught up and invested in, has already been told, and the characters that you bonded so closely with won't be the same if you do things differently. There are also a number of plot holes and inconsistencies that work against immersion. Several obvious leads and key pieces of evidence in the case of the origami killer, for example, go completely unnoticed by the police department. And a major plot point that haunts Ethan throughout much of the game is never explained in the slightest. Depending on how you play, you may be left scratching your head wondering what happened, or how characters that never seem to meet know each other. Heavy Rain's problems aren't strictly limited to the plot either. There are a number of other flaws, such as an inconsistent frame rate, frequent screen tearing, and noticeable texture pop-in almost every time something is closely examined. These technical issues in particular are a shame, as Heavy Rain is generally a beautiful and fantastic looking game. The visual design of the various environments is outstanding, and whether you're visiting a sleazy motel or a tiny convenience store, The painstaking amount of detail that went into constructing each locale is incredible. Character models are hyper-realistic, particularly in how they move and interact, and in many ways emote just as well as any real person. Occasionally, a stiff or awkward animation will crop up, but for the most part, they're done extremely well. Though it suffers from its share of plot and technical problems, Heavy Rain is nonetheless a bold and visionary step forward in the medium of interactive storytelling. Part adventure game and part psychological thriller, Heavy Rain is far from the QuickTime event-powered movie that it may appear to be at first glance. No matter how your adventure plays out, Heavy Rain is a profoundly personal experience that should not be missed.
Hey, take it easy, you're gonna knock me over.